Alright, OBS crashed on me 3 times now, and it all seems to be when I load in a chat or a chat window, so I don't know why that is happening. Hopefully we won't have it again. I'm not going to touch OBS, and hopefully OBS will not crash out on me again. We've made it to 50 seconds, and so even at 50 seconds, hopefully it'll stick, and we'll be fine. Alright, yeah, so anyway, I just have my own stream up to see why and make sure that the broadcast was still happening, but yeah, that was unfortunate for the crash and the crash. And the crash. Okay, there's me looking, why is OBS crashing? So anyway, for tonight, looking at doing some design. We have our 8-year-old daughter. It's Teacher Appreciation Week, so if there's any teachers that are viewing out there, hey, thanks for what you guys do and educating our next generation, and especially if we can get them into, CNC machining or laser cutting and engraving or 3D printing. Happy to support any of those venues. But what we're going to do is my daughter's teacher, Miss Allhouse, she loves Snoopy, and so found a design, and we're going to manipulate that design and then put it onto our own wood and burn it on our own wood. So for that, let's see, some stuff I was looking at last night. We took the image down and then I dropped it over into GIMP, and so GIMP is a GNU image editing, very similar. It's really open source that can be used like kind of like Adobe Photoshop-esque. And so we took the initial design, we chopped out a lot of the background, so we have just the raw image remaining. And so that raw image that was remaining, we've exported that now. And so we're going to jump into Xtool Creative Space, and we're going to start running a test run on the Xtool D1 that I have set up over on my CNC. I got to go power it on. I'll probably spin the cameras around so we can get the cameras on it, and cameras as we're working on the image generation. So if you guys haven't played around or you guys are looking for good imaging software, it's like the ones that I would recommend is GIMP for actual editing of the raw images, and then if you're looking at converting them over to scalable vector graphic files, look at Inkscape. That's also open source. And I still need to go back there and like put some of these links in the descriptions once the video is done. I haven't gotten that far into my YouTube careering to get those up and running. But it is something that I'm going to be looking at for the near future to have that operational, and that way it's like everybody could kind of see some of the software and everything that I've been using. Anyway, moving right along, I have 1 view, and I think that 1 view was actually me just checking to make sure that the stream was up and running. So I'm still happy about that. Even if it's me looking at me, knowing that I've created something and put it out there for the internet to see, which is odd, but it's kind of cool at the same time that I've been able to get this up and running and working even with the bumps along the road. So all right, from here, what we do is we went ahead and removed all the background information that was in here from the original image, and I can kind of go through a quick down and dirty on that. So we're going to go to New in GIMP, and it's going to be, I'm just going to select a generic paper size, and so we're just going to go US letter. Okay, that's going to be my 8.5 canvas. And with that new 8.5 canvas, I'm going to open. And so this is the black and white screenshot that we took. I'm going to pull that in. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up over here to our selection profile. And our selection profile is going to be there to really kind of like chop apart the image and capture some of the information to get it removed. And so as you can see, it's like I can select different sections of the color with the magic wand. And I can actually start removing those throughout the entire thing, or I can select them all based off of color palette. I'm going to close that one out actually. And so from here I'm going to try to expand that out. Okay, where's that other tool? So Shift C, select by color. So I want to go Shift C to select by color. No, I don't want my cut tool, I want. And hold on, let me pull this down here real quick. There might be an error on this, the TV screen. There we go. Okay, so we're going to bring this back up here actually. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go to Edit, and we're going to go to Select by Color. Or select, and go down to the Select menu, and we're going to Select by Color. And so Select by Color is when I look at the image itself, and it's like I want to move all of that color of shading across the entire image. I'm going to pop that in, and I'm going to go ahead and delete those. I'm going to select that for pretty much all the colors throughout the spectrum until I get that all set. And so what I did before this is I went through the image and I ran it in Microsoft Paint, or Paint 3D, or yeah, Microsoft Paint, and I just took a brush and I ran a brush over all of the lines that I wanted to keep. And then once I had that set, too much. Once I get down to like just like the raw data that I want to keep, and if there's some of that I want to back off, that's fine, because I can take care of some of those a little bit later on. Like all this stuff and all this excess noise, I'm going to go back over to my regular select tool, and I'm just going to drag a box over those sections, and I'm going to remove those sections as I need to get the image set. And so I'm just running it over, and I'm hitting the delete key. For some of those, I may have to go back over here and do the color select, like this section right here. I'm going to delete those out. And so now I literally just have a lot of the black and white remaining. So once that's done, I'm going to go up here, I'm going to go to export, and I'm going to export as. And so I'm going to tell its location, give it a name, and then I'm going to export the file. And so once the file's exported, I don't even know if I have Xtool Creative Space installed for the latest version. So I'm going to discard the changes on that. So close that handbrake because I don't need handbrake open. So Xtool Creative Space, we're going to open up Xtool Creative Space. And so I've got an update that I need to run. So we're going to run the update for Xtool Creative Space. Close that out. Install. Install. Yep. I've got some other installs to run real quick. Come on. So we're going to go back. I'm going to wait for these installs to happen. Just going to close it out. And then we're going to close that, go to my downloads, and we're going to open up XPX. Yes. install. Except this is 1.5.1, and we shouldn't be on 1.5.1. We should be on 2.0.34 Bravo. Let me pull this back open. Yep, that's fine. Sure. It's like I run Xtool for a lot of different things. So let me get the latest version of Xtool. So, okay, so I'm not going to go version by version. So that's silly. So we're going to go to Xtool. The S1, probably one of my favorite lasers on the market right now. I love that thing. Sure, we can continue as me. Actually, no, never mind. I'm going to go software. I'm going to download the latest version. No, I already have 2 Xtools. I don't need a third. And so we're going to download the 2.0 version, which is the version that I run at Matter Hackers at the office. And this is one that I showcase with a lot of our clientele that's looking at getting into laser cutting and laser engraving, or updating their laser cutters and laser engravers. There's more like Voron stuff. Cancel. I get enough emails from Xtool. Love Xtool, but there's a lot of messages that do come through. So that's on my other window. My downloads, beta. Yep, that's fine. Yep, that's fine. Let the install go. Minimize that, minimize that. I'm sure you guys are super excited to see all the background and everything that I have. So we're on Xtool Creative Space, finish. Now I could log in with either my Matter Hackers account or my personal account. Alright, here we go. I'm going to skip that. Bring Xtool Creative Space 2.0 up front. I'm going to log in. Log in with Google. Check my phone. Yes, it is me. I am logging in. So I got my 2-factor authentication done. Alright. Hey, look, it's me. Hooray. Alright, so home. I'm going to go to a new project. Once we get into XCS, we're going to connect the device. Don't remember if I set mine up for Wi-Fi yet, now that I think about it. Let's see, yes, install the CH340 driver. I haven't run these. Usually I run my Xtool stuff off one of my older laptops, and so the laptop is sitting in a cabinet over there. Worst comes to worst, I'll pull the laptop out and fire the laptop up and connect to the unit, which may be the case for tonight because I don't have a cable long enough to get it over to where I have the Xtool set up on top of my X-Carve. Yeah. But no, the Voron build's going pretty good, at least for the switch wire. Did some soldering a little bit last night. I'm going to get the rest of the motors connected here to the control boards, and then I don't know that I'm going to put the acrylic panels on until I can get some power tests on it, and hopefully I don't zap anything. I don't think anything will zap. I've been following pretty much along with the diagrams and schematics for the build process, going back and forth between the two documents that I have, which is the one from Voron Designs and the second one being the Sabur and build instructions. And so now we're at a point where, okay, we've got all the electronics and all the hardware and everything's connected, so let's get into getting everything set up and getting it ready to run. I do have to hook up the accelerometer still, so I got the accelerometer, so I might have to print out the accelerometer bracket, because I don't think I printed out the accelerometer bracket yet. That's funny, it did not install. So let's pull up another window and CH340 driver. Windows 11. There's other hardware, catalog update. Windows 8 8.1, Windows 11, 22H2. Download. Let's see. Let's see. Devices found. Just close that out. Alright, I'll connect the machine later. So please connect the device. Add the image. And we're going to go to our pictures folder, and this one is called it's not here. Why is it not here? It should be here. Open. Bam, there we go. Alright, so not too shabby. We're going to go ahead and we're going to select the image, and I'm going to, it shouldn't be grouped, but edit image. Remove those. Come up here, and this is all in the executable software. We're going to leave a little bit of this. Nope. Too much. That's fine. Remove some of the fuzz out of the ear. And so I just did some quick editing on here, and we're going to clean up some of these lines. And so have your Control Z handy. That way if you like end up deleting the image, we can hit Control Z and undo that. And so that's what the magic wand is. Or we can go to the eraser and we can actually go through and we can clean up some of those things manually, which is what it looks like we may have to do just for some of these. And so I'm using the control and my mouse wheel to scroll in and out to get some of that particulate matter just kind of like cleaned up that's in here. And so I'm scrolling in and scrolling out, and we're just gonna lightly brush up some of these things, because it's like we don't want the laser head trying to interpret these little tiny micro changes as it's moving. And we'll leave the kind of the detail for the fire, that's fine. Clean this up a little bit. Clean that up a little bit. Clean that up, clean that up. It helps to have like a really high dot per inch mouse, especially when you're getting into some of these finer details. All right. And so the best method is to actually go through and save this as a scalable vector graphic file. And I just really just created it as a PNG and just dropped it in here because I have to have this specific project done tomorrow. And so on the back of it, we're going to have my daughter handwrite a note, and then we're going to scan that note. So we're going to have that incorporated in. So there we go. Okay. All right. So now we're going to be good with that. Save. Bam. So there we go. We've got our image. I might make it a little bigger. We might go back through and clean it up some more as it gets more pixelated. And so I took my extensions off the D1, and so this is just going to be a factory D1. Just so I could get it to fit onto the table, because I don't want to disturb kind of like the Voron build, as the Voron build is set. So just clean up a little bit more of the image. I think that'll look fine. Okay. So I'm going to save those changes. Zoom back out using that scroll wheel. Okay, from here, now I've got to go ahead and get the machine set up. And what to do about this one? Do I try to find a cable long enough, or do I just bite the bullet and say to heck with it? So let me see. I do have a USB cable extension around here somewhere, and it's not in my cable drawer. X to F1 connects to D1. Pull my adapter out, pull a cable out, so I got my adapter here. I can pull my cable here. They've been sitting in my drawers because I haven't had a need for them in a hot minute. I think I put it over here. Look, instead of putting it in my cable drawer, I put it on my shelf. And so I found my extender. And we're hoping that I can get this to reach all the way over to the D1. So I'm going to actually plug this in. Turn that on. Get my extension. Cable. Please be long enough, please be long enough, please be long enough. I printed off a ton of little cable clips, and so these really helped with my cable organization. They're just little tiny little cable clips, but these things have been great. I don't think we're going to be long enough. So this one is not quite 6 feet. And there's this one. That one is more than 6 feet, so we'll opt for that one. And it's so far away. I need to get the Wi-Fi connected on it. So I can turn the unit. I think if I turn the unit, I can actually get it connected. little bit of a reach for the cable, but it is able to reach all the way over there. So that's good news. The next problem is getting power to it. Adapter. And as you can see, like I was talking about, for those cables, they're all captured inside these little brackets that I ended up 3D printing out. You can see there's various sizes of them for various cable widths and cable lengths. I will at some point add a link to the description that showcases those. And yeah. So the wood we're going to be using is just a standard generic bamboo wood, not a Bamboo Lab 3D printer, but just a bamboo wood. I should be able to tie it into power over here. I'm just jury-rigging cables everywhere. This is great. Alright, so let's try to connect. Hopefully it'll come up. Cannot find device USB. Come on. Check my cable connections. Alright, so that should have populated it. X-Tool D1 Pro, there we go. Just took a little bit of time for it to connect. Alright. So I'm going to come up here. Because I am connected on USB, I want to change the settings, and so I'm going to check for updates to see if there's any updates for it. Our current firmware is latest, Wi-Fi settings. So it says that it is on the Wi-Fi, so work parameters, so D1 Pro, settings. There's my network. Pew 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 pew. I don't know if you notice I like lasers or not. I think that's the password. All right. Now disconnect the USB. So let's turn the switch off. Complete. All right, so that should be set. Next to a D1 Pro. I'm going to connect the device. I'm going to go to Wi-Fi. Yeah, there we go. There it is. We are up and running. Okay, so now I can disconnect all the cables because it is refreshed to the network. I'm going to go and do my cable organization so I don't misplace these cables again. So I'm actually going to go change over to the wide focus. We'll do it over on the camera because why not? Okay. So these cable organizers, I've got a ton of them. I just printed out a couple different full build plates of these things. So I'm going to move the more out of the way, and we'll get later to the build on that. And so for these cables, I'm just looping it in and dropping it into place. Yeah, it's like I have a drawer just filled full of cables. And it's like I just water them all up and just shove them in there, it wouldn't fit. But as soon as I started working with, cable organization, as I printed out, my full garage makeover, and then I started stacking cables because it limits their height, which turned out to be very, very beneficial. So I'm going to grab another bracket. So a smaller one. I don't think this will work, so we'll grab a medium-sized one. Have a medium-sized one left. And I burned through all my medium-sized ones. I got larges and whatnot. So maybe we just will use a medium-sized one and squish it in. Or just run the loops a little bit bigger. Yeah, that's fine. And so these guys are coming really, really handy. Alright, so yeah. Nice and easy. It keeps them flat, I can stack them. Takes up a lot less room. PC cables and accessories drawer. Put that into there. Set those down. Grab some more of these loose cables that I have because I have not been doing good management. Grab another small. This is probably super exciting to watch. I'm sorry that you all have to suffer through this, but I'm trying to keep my garage cleaner than I have in years past. And so my garage got kind of scary after a while there. Just because I was running projects, and then we actually had our house get flooded. And when our house got flooded, our garage turned into a storage unit because we had to watch our house get demolished, and then we rebuilt our house. We had a fire suppression sprinkler action at 2 o'clock in the morning on my 42nd birthday. And those are things you can literally not make up. And I could share some pictures and videos of some of the projects and everything we've done to the house to give you guys maybe some ideas of things that you can turn out of your own garage workshops. We had about, I think the total out the door with damages, adjusted living expenses for our rental house and everything was around like $200,000 when it was all said and done. And we still have some furniture we just haven't yet replaced and billed the insurance for it, but it was just a known defect, and there was a class action lawsuit that happened, and that's just life. But we ended up taking a bunch of the money and doing some renovations in the house on our own, and saved a ton of money if we had just done that outright. And so kind of a blessing in disguise, yet still I don't wish that to happen to anybody, because it was not fun for about 7 months of our lives. Okay, so now we're going to get back into Xtool Creative Space. And I just realized you may not have been able to hear me because I didn't change the camera over during that last session. So, but we're just going to run with it. So, all right. So we got Xtool Creative Space open. It is on my D1 Pro without the extensions. The material that we're looking at is just going to be bamboo wood. I don't even know if there's a profile in here for bamboo. So let's pull up the material library and we're going to pull up bamboo. No material suggestions. Oh, yeah, that's because there's no suggestions for bamboo either. Okay, hold on. You just go to the regular, good old internets here.
Introducing We Create Vision, the industry's first.
I just need to know kind of what settings we're going to run for it. Skip. Yay, YouTube. It's like I'm YouTubing things as you guys are YouTubing things. And so realistically, it's like I'm just going to probably just run some trial and error on it. I'm just looking for what they have their settings set to, and it looks like they're running 100% power at about 250 millimeters a second for theirs. It's like, man, stop moving the camera around so much, but you know, neither here nor there. All right. For bamboo engraving with 10 watt, what did you speed and power? And so 90%, power is 90, speed I believe 100. Also depends on the type of area that we're working with. Variation of color with the grain, so you cause want to run once more for a deeper burn. All up to you. Thanks for watching. So 90% power at 100 millimeters a second. So a little bit slower than what I was looking at. So that's really the information I wanted to extrapolate, was just, hey, what was their default setting for a random bamboo wood? Alright, so we're going to close out of this, go back into XCS, and I'm going to open my side door and my garage door. It's probably going to get a little smoky in here. Reposition the camera. Changing some scenes around right quick. Come on. All right, there we go. Okay, Alright, so now I'm running on a separate microphone, and we have my top-down view of the Voron. I'm not going to change that because that's set where it is. I'm honestly thinking about changing the camera angle on this one again, because I don't know if I want to run it this way. If that makes more sense. No. I need to change it so it's like the scene selection with... Let's see if I can change that right now. I don't think I can. We'll just keep it like this because that makes more sense. There. On my super awesome 3D printed ball joints. Okay, so I've got the other one kind of pointed towards the D1, and I have my D1 set on the workbed of my X-Carve. So I got my good old X-Carve here, and do love the X-Carve because I need a larger work table, and I don't want to sacrifice the space that I've got because I'm working on the Voron both at the same time. So the material that we're going to be working with today is, these are just some bamboo cutting boards from Target. I mean, nothing super exciting about them. They're bamboo cutting boards from Target. And so I do think that they have a top coating on them of some sort of oil, but we're just going to run probably 2 passes and see how well it comes out. And I'm probably going to use the smaller of the 2 cutting boards. Set this one up into our top side. And so on one side we're going to have the Snoopy image, and on the back side we're going to make a personalized note from my daughter to her teacher. And so yeah, it'll be the Snoopy on one side, and then on the back side will be a personalized note from my daughter to her teacher. And then we'll get that out to her by end of week for, you know, the closeout of Teachers Week. A little bit of glue stuck on there, but neither here nor there. So I'm going to come up to my unit. And we're going to get this camera a little bit closer. I wish I had some better lighting over on this side of the garage, but I don't. Sorry for the shaky camera. Alright, so I have it in here, and so I'm going to first raise the unit up. I'm going to drop the auto-focusing bar down. I'm going to set it down to material. And once it's set to the material, I'm going to lock the height down. I'm going to pop that unit up. Now I'm going to square the material. So when I run the square for the material, I'm literally just going to line up the crosshair so I can see the crosshair, and I want to follow that edge of wood all the way down to make sure it's basically rough center or a rough square. It's like I probably could square the entire thing up to my X-Carve gantry. Slide that over a little bit, so I don't want that rubbing into the cable. So I'll kind of center it on the work area right now. Once I have that centered on the work area, go ahead and go back over to here. My other camera went out. My other camera went out. Or maybe it didn't. Turn that off. Alright, so here what we're going to do is that recommended setting from the other user is going to be engrave, user defined, set easy panel, and we're going to go 100 millimeters a second, and our power is going to be 90 bitmap mode grayscale. That's fine. We're just going to run with it. Make sure that's set. So 90, 100 millimeters a second, bidirectional. Okay. Alright, so we change the power to 90 to 100 on the easy panel, and that's listing up here one pass. And so that's fine and dandy. And close out that window. I want to have this set to engrave. Then move generic as the profile we just built. And we're going to go ahead and look at framing the job. So I'm going to come over to the unit now. And we should be set for framing, so we're going to run the framing. Way out. Okay. That is not correct. I don't know why it went so far over. We did pop up the error on the screen. Hold that in as well. Laser module moving over the position limit. Confirm. No idea why it went over the position limit, because it shouldn't have done that. And it may have been because I had it set here and it's trying to go all the way over. So I'm going to bring it over to that front corner. And actually, let me take a look at how I have it oriented. So the orientation is going to matter on this one. So I want to run this on a vertical, and I have it set for a horizontal run because I was thinking that I still had my my extensions put on there. And so we're going to drop this down from center. Center of the work area, bring it down a little bit. And so I want to basically bring that up to the front, or the top left corner of the wood. And we're going to check it again. So now we're going to go back to framing. Actually, TV display. We're going to TV display. We're going to bring that up to the foreground. I'm going to move that one over here. Alright, so now we got this going. So back over to the unit on the other side of the garage. Bring that up to the top left corner, and we're going to run a framing job just to see where the positioning is. And so there's two things that I can do. Is I can take that and I can physically move the laser head over, and we'll run a reframing on it. And so basically I'm just checking to make sure that it's equidistant, front, back, left, so rear, forward, left, and right. Means I could grab a ruler out and we could check a ruler on it. Alright, that looks fine to me. Alright, so now I'm going to open up my garage doors a little bit so I can get some airflow through here as I get ready to cut. I got multiple things going on. Okay, so we're going to say framing is complete. We're going to process. And we're going to check this. I'm going to move over. It's going to go ahead and go through. Run this at 20% speed. Estimated time is 38 minutes to get this job done. And so this is just a preview of the laser head trajectory as it's going to go through. And we're going to check it as it starts to see how dark this bamboo is going to burn. Because we do want to have it, like, you know, a little bit darker. And it looks like, hey, we had another view. That's kind of cool. I got to clean up the rest of my garage so it does, like, baby strollers and my kids don't use anymore and other things. And it'll all kind of be over here once we have that set and done. Alright. So we're good with the preview. I'm not worried about that right now. Got it. So we take this all the way back down to 0. We're estimating 38 minutes. Setting for processing. I can't believe somebody else popped on here and gave it a quick 30-second view. That's kind of cool. Just saying. All right. Bring that up here too so you guys can see me. With my Shanty webcam. I'm going to use that to block out some of that so it's just showing the X tool. Alright. All the stuff in the garage. Alright, do not leave the device unattended while working. We plan on staying out here in the garage for quite a hot minute. It is midnight 30 right now, and we are going to get into some laser cutting, or laser engraving, I should say. Alright, so we got the laser going. My wide camera did blank out there for a little bit, and so yeah, there we go. We have our V1 is cranking away. smells delicious. And so while that's going, I'm going to wear my super awesome safety glasses because it is a exposed laser and I do not want to get my retinas burned out and have my rods and cones damaged. And so, yeah, we're just going to let this thing go. And at the same time, I need to get another screen set up. So we'll hop back over here. I'm going to drag this over here. I'm going to shrink that back down. And we're going to go back into, while that thing's doing its engraving and cutting, we're going to get back into working on the switch wire. Change my other GoPro. Alright, so while we got a laser job going, we're going to get back into the 3D printing side of the house. And so what we're going to do tonight is we're going to be working on connecting up our other motors. I got to figure out how I'm going to work the cable extension for the heated bed and the stop for the heated bed, because it's like the cabling, I have to get routed still. And I think I gotta just actually pull down the cable that came out of the kit for the Y-axis stop. In my antifreeze parts bin. So this is going to be our actual motor cable. So it's a Z motor cable. Y stop switch. So I got my Y stop switch cable. And that's just there for the end stop, because we're going to get it set and get all the rest of the cables for the motors and everything set up and running. So yeah, a busy night in the garage tonight. We got lasers going, we're working on 3D printers. I should probably get a print going on one of the bamboos, just to say that, yeah, we're like full shopping it up right now. But I'm not too worried about it. So it's just weird looking through the green filter lenses as I go through this. I'll open the garage up a little bit more. All of my daughters come racing out here. Well, I got a laser active. Granted, it is like midnight 35 right now, so it's actually not too bad for them. I hope as I'm walking and talking and moving around, the microphone's able to pick everything up. Anyway, we'll go ahead and we're going to run that job down. We're at 5 minutes of a 38-minute job. I'm going to go back over to here. Alright, so we have our Y motor, our Y motor cable, our X motor cable, and our Z motor cable, and then we're going to look at getting the bed thermistor, the Y end stop, and the heater. So Y end stops going to go here. And then the Z, Y, and X motor. So, and I gotta go back through the instructions because I think it is the X on the right or left side. The path, the position. probably inviting a bunch of mosquitoes in. Say a Z motor mount. So the Z motor mount is on the right side. So our Z is on the right, and our X is on the left. So Z right, X left. If I don't write it down, I will forget, because I am an idiot when it comes to memorization on some of these things on a short term. Okay. So facing the unit, I got my X on the left side, and I got my Z on the right side. Alright. So looking at the unit, if I was looking at it from this side, this would be my right, and this would be my left. So this would be my my Z. I had to go back and take a look at my notes because I cannot remember for the life of me which one it was. So laser job looks like it's going pretty good. Okay, so we're going to undo the twist tie. Oh, Lord, just come undone. I'm too impatient for this. Way too impatient for this. Okay, so this is my Z. So I'm going to route the cable through a little slot. So it's on the inside. There it is. So I think that may actually come up underneath the board. So I may have to adjust our clipper extension board. So we have the clipper extension board right here, and I may have to pull the clipper extension board off in order to route the cable, which kind of sucks. It's directly underneath. Interesting. Like, I wonder why they have that set where yeah, there's no way I'm gonna get that, so I'm gonna have to pull this guy off. So our clipper extension board with cables already routed to it, and so we're going to try to get that to dislodge, or even maybe we'll just pop it up a little bit to get that cable to feed through. And it's going to be the same for the electronic mount. It's like, why would we not have the cables for these routed? So when you guys are going through your build, I would suggest routing your motor cables through, because it's like one access port's underneath the power supply over here, the other access point is underneath this right here. And so the spots that I'm talking about when these cables are supposed to feed through is literally right there, and you can see the bracket, and the bracket's sitting right underneath it. So the cable's supposed to feed through here, but if the cable feeds through there and we've already mounted the control boards, it's like, what good does that do me? And so when you guys are getting ready to do your builds, try to route these things prior to getting the mounts established and installed, because That's kind of a pain in the butt now that I have all the electronics hooked up, and I have to now go through and remove them to get my cabling routed. So we're going to flip the unit back over. I don't want to crush that cable. Alright. So flip that back over. Don't crush the cable. Keep wearing my safety glasses. Do I need them? I don't know. Probably not. But I'm wearing them anyway. Laser still pew-pewing. These are those T-nuts that have the extension, so this is going to be even more difficult. But hopefully, because I did loosen it up, I can snake this in underneath it by giving it enough play. And I can't, so we're just going to go ahead and just pull the entire board out. That sucks. I find that actually rather frustrating. Because there's the access port that needs to go through. So I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I'll try to move the board out of the way. So, right there, that's the access port the connector needs to go through. And so alright, got that through. Now we got to reposition the T-nut. It's actually really difficult to do with these green glasses on. Alright. So now I'm going to set that cable up and over the top. And drop this back down. Find out where that T-nut ran off to. Come on. Why are you stuck in there? Let's call the channel Triage of a Printer Build. But hey, it's pretty cool that we're working on a 3D printer while we do have a laser engraver going and firing. Okay, so we got that. We have our mess of cables. Set that down over here. Check all my electrical connections to make sure nothing came loose. That's all set. And I'm probably going to come back through and just do a double check later on. And I got to clean up all this wiring and get it mounted and benched up and bunched down. So, alright, now take a look at the laser, see how we're doing over here. Looks really good. Looking really good. All right. Wait. Take a sip. And then back to work. Put it over here. Yeah. Yay, Gamecraft. I love Gamecraft. It's literally shining a flashlight off into the abyss. Alright. So number next is actually going to be the power supply. And this one I'm kind of actually dreading in order to get the other motor cable through. So again, we're going to undo the twist tie. And there's some workbench. What I do like about lasers, though, I mean, I'm running it open air, and so they're actually really, really quiet when you have them going. Oh, these zip ties these twist ties are just garbage. Every time you keep twisting, it just keeps fraying and fraying and fraying. Bamboo does stink a little bit. It smells good, but man, it's starting to stink a little bit. I do need to get a fume extractor at some point, and so there's no way that I'm going to be able to get this in through here in current form. So I will have to remove the power supply, which I do not want to do. Luckily, the power supply is more of a drop-in unit because of how the arm is for it on the one side. It's just I have everything wired up, and so I don't want to disturb a lot of that wiring. So now that I have the power supply out, just going to gingerly set that down as to not disturb any of the other cabling. And as you can see, it's like the access port for the cable for the motor is literally right where my finger's blocking, so you can see it. So we'll get another light. And it's right there. And so I'll grab a handy dandy pointer. It's literally right here. It's this little tiny square. And so that square is underneath the power supply. And so when you guys are doing your builds, make sure you route and run your X and Z motors and the cabling for the X and Z motors prior to getting all mounted up. And I found that on the opposite side is I have to put the cable through the hole like this. It'll fit through, and then the wiring will kind of squeak by the difference between the extrusion and the panel. So I'm going to rotate on the 90. I'm going to feed that through. And then once the head is through, we'll feed the cable. Once the cable's fed, now we get to do the fun part of re-hooking up everything. And so it is getting a little smoky in here. But The reason why it's getting a little smoky is it's starting to do some heavy burn sections, and so those heavy burn sections are fine. Alright, and so when I re-anchor this one down, I want to make sure that this cable is routed and out of the way. So I'm going to just kind of tuck it along the path. And then we're going to reset our screws. And this is going to be really difficult to do because it's like I've got to these are the other two nuts, and so this one's actually I can pull out and re-thread back on before we mount it down. And so this is, when you do the power supply, if you don't route the cables, it's good to have that M5 T-nut. So you're going to push the M5 T-nut, or the M5 button head cap screw through, and then we're going to thread on that T-nut. Gosh dang it. Alright, so I get that first one on. Now I gotta find out where that other one went. It's still in the unit. I'll pull that guy out. Make sure that the M5 is still attached to the Allen wrench. That section of the bamboo actually smells pretty good. Never a dull moment in the garage. No, no, hey, no, go inside, go inside, go inside. Do not look at the lizard. And there we go. never a dull moment. It's like as I'm like working on the printer, my 8-year-old daughter came down because she wanted a glass of milk, and it's like it's like the one thing I was like, oh, I hope the girls don't wake up. It should be fine. It's only like midnight 30 at the last check when I was talking about it, and it's like because I have the engraver going, so as soon as you come into the garage, it's like it's facing the garage door, and so maybe I could have been a little bit smarter about that one, but here we are. So what I am, she just wanted some milk, and now she's back in bed. Okay, so we got those T-nuts back on. Let me make sure that those wires aren't going to get crushed. None of the wires are hopefully going to get crushed. We got some pretty good smoke going on because we're going into a heavy burn section. And I just want to get these T-nuts back down into their home while not crushing wiring. So get that back into its channel. Get those T-nuts back into their channel. Okay, so all right. I get the laser to my back right now. Okay, so we're gonna tighten at least one of those down. Tighten the other one down. All right, so again, when you guys are doing your builds, make sure that you route these cables before dropping in your clipper expansion board and your power supply. And so I was actually doing some research earlier about the clipper expansion board, and so there's not enough connectors up here on the control board or on the Mark S Pi. And so the clipper expansion board, this one's here to do kind of like step down, and with the step down is also going to be where we're going to connect up the LEDs and a few other things going to be running off of 5 volt. And the LEDs from the print head are actually working over here off the control board, and so we have our LED connector and whatnot. So everything seems to be kind of back in order. Yeah. We'll continue with the build, and it looks like we're getting done. Looks like all the heavy portions of the burn are finished. It shouldn't be too much longer till that thing is finished up, and we'll provide kind of an update. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock in the morning right now. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, we're building a 3D printer and we're burning some wood. And so this is a great night, a great late night in the garage with yours truly, Nick. Okay. Let's see. Let's go back down to where we left off. It's all good. Check the connections. Connections all look good. I gotta actually go through and look at the power supply again just to make sure the power supply hasn't shifted at all. This is doing a quick wiggle test on each of the leads, and all the leads seem fine. Maybe just work a little bit better on the cable positioning. And I probably need to get some zip ties and like zip tie these down into cable bunches. We'll probably work on that here real soon. Okay. Number next.
Sorry, don't mind me just working some stuff off camera, off screen. Alright. That's all done. Alright, so we've got the HCF hooked up, we've got the PCF hooked up, and so I'm just going to double check those. So HCF, or is it HCF or HEF? HEF. HEF is toward the 2 plug. PCF is toward the, so HCF on the 2nd, PCF on the 4th. That's fine. Now we got our our 24 volt, and these ones I kind of had to like kind of finagle in there. And by finagle it means that they were on clips, and I didn't want to strip the wire out, so I just took the clips and I snipped, or the pronged adapter. So I just snipped part of the pronged adapter, jammed it in there, and anchored those down. So we got the 24 volt in our ground. So 24 volt ground in our HEO. And then next up we have our XES. There's these labels that slid down. So we have the XES, and then we have on the far connector is our THO and our ground, our A ground. And then our connector here, this is going to be for our LED, and that's going to be for the hot end, LED for the hot end assembly, with our probe and our 5 volt in. So we got our 5 volt, our probe, and our LED. And then we have our extruder stepper motor, which is connected up to that first terminal. And so the extruder stepper motor is kind of interesting. I don't know if it's wired incorrectly. I just let it ride, but the wiring says that it is incorrect. We'll play around with that when we actually get this thing hooked up. I hope it does not short anything, because this is just a wiring harness that goes up to the actual control board. And so as long as the control board output here, it doesn't really matter what these cables look like, as long as they go to the appropriate input port on the control board, and the stealth burner is what I'm more concerned about. And so the laser's still kicking it. We're almost done with the burn. We're getting in the text. I love lasers. I really love lasers. So it's a fun night. Again, before on, we're getting our share of the heartaches and headaches, which is fine. And to be kind of expected, I guess. Yes, so stepper motors. We're going to get down to the stepper motors now. and limit switches. So now the problem that I am going to have is I'll shrink the video down real quick for this guy. As if you recall, a couple of videos ago, I pulled the end stop and the cable for the heated bed assembly through this port, and the cable isn't long enough because the cable has to actually make it all the way over here and go to the main control board for the bed heater and the bed sensor. And so those two cables are not long enough, and so I may have to rig up some extensions to get them over there with the appropriate gauge wiring. Luckily, you know, we have some spare wiring that we're going to rig, and I might pull these out to give more room to work on them. And then once I have that work done, reuse these. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta play around with it. I'll probably make an extension cable for the one, for the at least the limit stop switch, because the limit stop switch is gonna set over here. Yeah, and that's gonna be the next thing. So I got the Z motor, and so my Z motor, my Y motor, and my X motor. All right, the laser is done. It's a little smoky in the garage, not too bad. Let me take my glasses off at least. And so there we go. Our laser job is done. And so now I need to have Lillian create a personalized message on the backside, and then she can deliver this to her teacher. I should have just taken this and actually moved it over center instead of centering the image. But we'll see what my wife says tomorrow. We do have another cutting board that we can use and go through, which is a little bit bigger. Yeah, not too bad. No, don't close. I need that airflow. We got some pretty good airflow coming out of the garage right now, which is really nice. Get some of that smoke to dissipate out, not too worried about it. So yeah, quick down and dirty for the evening. Go ahead and we're going to shut off the G1. We'll see what my wife says tomorrow. She's probably going to want to have it centered. So, yeah, I centered the image on the build area instead of centering the text, and I think she's going to want the text centered, which would make more sense. So I might sand this down and reuse it, or throw it through the planer. I don't know. We'll take a look tomorrow. Because, I mean, if you shifted it over, the hat would be over here. All this would come over and shift. Maybe shift the text down a little bit too. that's done. Get our camera reset. Yeah, that turned out pretty good. Yeah, back to Voron. So I'll probably run some better cable management, and then the piece of scrap paper that I wrote it down. So looking at the front of the unit, put that over. This is my right, this is my left. And so my right side is going to be the Z. And so I got my Z axis, which is going to be the next one. So this is going to be my Z. Z. And I'm going to take the X. So the X is going to go here. And then my Y motor cable. Got the Z. Got my Y motor cable. Get this guy to feed through. Okay. And the biggest thing for me on this is I want to make sure that I'm not really blocking airflow from the fan. And so I'm using the factory Y motor cable. So I'm going to have to, so X, Y, and Z are connected. I got to get the cable extensions soldered for the thermistor, the heater, and the Y end stop. So Y end stop I don't have connected yet. So you want my fan connectors, and so the fan connectors literally right here. So connect the fan up. Okay, so undo these, because there's no way that it's like there's no way that that cable, I'm gonna have to work some extensions to go from here over and then route it into the unit. And that's gonna be the same for the thermistor for the bed. I've got to route that one over here as well. So the thermistor has got to make it all the way over to that connector. And so I have to work cable extensions. Did I have any set? I'm gonna pull my I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to manufacture some cable extensions. I'm gonna save that for another night, I think. Maybe I'd have some downtime at the office, which I rarely do. So I might feed these back through so I can actually work on it from the top side. And I need to get some control over the cables on this. And I might 3D print some brackets to help kind of control the wiring in here. So I'm going to check to see if I can find a bracket. It looks like both of my cameras have decided to stop or catch up.
So let's go to here. We'll check make world. All right. And that looks like it would work. It's just a 2020 extrusion clip. From Grumpy Tinker. 9 downloads for that guy. Let's see. Extract all. Extract. And 2013mm clip V2. OBS Studio always. It's almost 1:30 in the morning. I might cut tonight's video a little short. Burn through these guys. Let's slice that. 23 minutes. At ABS. I don't know that we necessarily need a brim, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. Let's see, what if I did a extra draft, transfer, slice. If the time is, so 19 minutes, so 20 minutes. Versus 26 minutes. We're going to send it. See what happens. All right. So what we're going to do, snippy. Alright, so we're printing out some cables that are going to tie into the extrusions. That way I can really look at, you know, changing these around. I might take the bamboo a little bit more time to come up to temperature because I've had the garage door open and it is cold outside. Alright, close that out, close that out. I'll run with this one for right now. I'll close. Alright. Panels. I don't want to mount the panels yet because I still have quite a bit of work to do before we get to panel installation. Whew. Whew. Ah, bless America. Alright, so we got to do some cable extensions for the bed. That'll be a project for tomorrow. Yeah, I think we're kind of at a good stopping point for tonight, even though we really didn't do a whole lot except for get some laser job done. So anyway, yeah, so Nick here from the Late Night Garage with yours truly, and we're going to go ahead and sign off for the rest of the night, and I hope you guys have a great night, and we will catch you back here probably tomorrow night, and we will continue the build, and we'll get after it. All right? Signing off.